Here's an interesting thought. Why not follow up?
This is your first day in real estate, and I am your real estate sales trainer and coach, James Festini. And this is the program that's going to teach you how to sell more real estate in less time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it kind of hit me today, and it shouldn't have hit me so late in my game, but I'm going to apologize. Perhaps maybe I wasn't making myself clear when I said prospect, but not emphasize follow-up. And I'm not talking about follow-up in the sense of, well, I know I should and I call them, but my behavior has been heavily skewed in the direction of lead generation. All of you guys know me for beast mode lead generation. Just get as many leads as you possibly can and then close them. Lead. And then close the lead. Knowing very well that there's an incubation period for these individuals that don't happen overnight. So when we're door knocking, when we're cold calling, whether it's inbound traffic, whether it's an open house, whatever it is, the question I posed myself today was, do I have enough leads? Yes or no? And I said, yeah, I have a lot of leads, but I'm not converting them. Okay, here's the question then. Can you, over the course of the last 3 years, identify ones you didn't convert? Yes, a lot. Like I would go, this market's not as easy as I anticipated, but it's because of what I'm telling you right now. It's not that I had anticipated it to be easy or hard. It was that what has gotten me to a high degree of success over 26 years, but not as much over the last 3 years. It was because I began this medieval campaign to aggressively pursue leads and demonstrate how easy it is to generate leads, but not follow up. And I don't mean like I wasn't following up. I was following up. But I wasn't following up in the sense of an engagement versus a one-night stand. Now let me explain. Relationships matter, and what matters is that you work to establish rapport immediately. When we're going out prospecting, we just call it door knocking and cold calling. When I meet someone who's cool and I strike up a chat, because you know my script is really geared towards yeah, no, bye, no, yeah, no, bye, no, yeah, what, no, bye. It's very rapid paced in the sense that if they're not interested and they're not my people, we can usually find out within a couple of seconds. Like by asking the question, hey, are you know, my question would immediately lead to the conclusion, which is they're not interested. And if they're not having a dialogue, if they don't come out, shake my hand, say hello, then they're just like not that they're not friendly, they're just not going to, come on. Really, why do you slow down when I'm merging? This traffic. I love Los Angeles outskirts called Orange County. We're looking at the possibility of maybe I have failed in cultivating the relationship with those individuals who at the door I was able to strike up a good conversation, that I was able to get a name, number, and email address, and then just try this follow-up campaign of I'll call them, I'll email them, I will video email them, I'll send them letters, but I never quite make that reconnect again. It was it was almost like my script remained the same when the relationship should have been better and sooner follow-up. For example, I send out a letter the day I met them, right? I knock on their door. I should know the minute that I'm done with door knocking that I go into my car, I handwrite the letters for the leads, because there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3. So you can't sit and just say, stop right now, put a letter in the mail, pre-stamped envelope, and say thank you for your time at the door, boom. And then schedule, if you're able to get them on a drip campaign for an email for the market analysis, if you have to send them a market analysis, which you always do send a market analysis, hey, just want to let you know I ran this, whatever, slam package if they're really hot. Or maybe if they're not. See what I mean? There's me going next step saying, do I want to invest? And my lack of investment into the individual beyond putting them into a pile and then just stomping on it and hoping the cream rises to the top, when what I should have done is cultivated each layer of that cream. I don't know anything about milking cows or how this works, but I have a feeling there's certain parts of the cheese, certain parts of the milk, certain parts of the creamer, some of it's sour cream, some of it's cream cheese, some of it's Swiss cheese. But it's all cows, right? What I was doing was I was throwing a bunch of cows in the pastures, just milking whichever one looked fat, not feeding the ones that weren't fat yet because they might have needed it more. So I was looking at the landscape of my past 3 years, particularly in here, because I can judge a lot more failure and success in this 3-year window since I've moved to this new territory. Remind you, 24 at that time years experience, and yet not coming out hitting the ground running. Why? So I'm looking at the background, How far back do I have to go to realize where have I been making the mistake? And it hit me today. And it's hit me once before, but it hit me a little bit harder today. That, in fact, what I should have done is cultivated the relationship better. I planted the seed. What I'm getting at is I've been also doing this behavior where I'm putting them into an auto dialer and scheduling a callback. But in many cases, when I'll go back through, I'll see in the auto callback system where I'll just pile them up and just dial, and I'll look away. I've looked away for too long on so many leads where they're just going through the pile because I have so many leads. Do you have too many leads? Yes, you actually do have too many leads. Why do you have too many leads? Because you have been prospecting. By prospecting, it is very possible to get too many leads. If you take my Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge at jamesfestini.com, it's $100, I think. $100 for 100 days. You do exactly what I tell you to do in that program, and you will have 100 bona fide listing leads in your database within 100 days. You will generate an average of a lead a day, not a Facebook inquiry, not a Zillow impression. I'm talking about an actual bona fide lead that you knocked on the door or had a phone conversation on the phone that turned into a dialogue that was truly valuable. You provided them value. They gave you information that they wouldn't have otherwise if they didn't connect, right? You couldn't get their email address unless they felt you. If they got you, then they felt you and you can get it. What was the problem here was that I was not doing that other step, that other segment of effort. Is it over here? Other effort. And that was one level deeper of an attempt to reconnect from that initial contact, and then every time I have a conversation, it can under no circumstance be, hi, you thinking of selling your house? No, okay, bye. Hi, you thinking of selling your house? No, okay, bye. I need to find a better way, such as maybe it's Facebook, friendships. Maybe it's finding out what they're forward, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams or desires. Those kind of things. Is that what we're doing? Is that how it's going to be? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's what I have to get to, is the point where now I no longer can XXX the dialer, XXX 10x my efforts on lead follow-up. It's got to slow down, and slow down diligently. I paused the video and pulled over. I had to get rid of that squeaking sound, guys. No, I'm kidding. I had to drop off a slam package. Thus in lies my epiphany and potential for results as much faster. I have a feeling, a suspicion. Gosh, okay, let's just talk about it this way. I'm driving down the street. I just dropped a slam package off. You ready? There's a house about 7 doors down that 2 years ago I knocked on the door. I met the man and I met his wife. They loved me. They invited me in. They adopted me. I'll tell you the story of this one right here in a second. And as I'm driving, I can probably go, that one too. And that, yeah, I could definitely, that one is something, a Beetle in his email address. That was an old lady that her dog. But so anyhow, back to that old man. I met him and his wife. And then I thought to myself, that was a pretty good lead. He's a salesman. He loved my style. We're like thick as thieves. Okay, I'm in. And then what happened? I put him into the database and he never answered his phone again. He was just gone with the wind. And I thought, oh well, it must not be that hot. Yada, yada, yada. Anyhow, I finally just kind of doubled back and went over there and knocked on his door almost a year later. Well, it turns out his wife died. And I was pretty, saddened to hear, right? Because the wife was very sweet. These relationships that I could have cultivated. So Mr. R, let's call him. His wife passed away, and now his mom passed away or left him the house or something. So he's thinking about selling a house across, just far away, right? 3 cities over. And I said, well, look. I go, I know you got. And then all of a sudden he starts talking about like he's got a relationship with a girl, and things are moving on for him. But that he's also got an agent, which that was not a conversation before. So somewhere along the lines, he deepened a relationship. After loving me, he deepened a relationship that I screwed up. Because I could have just gone in there, oh my gosh. If had I paid attention, I would have gone to the wife's funeral because she was nice. Had I built a relationship, things would have happened differently, but I didn't. It was just like churn and burn. So when I knocked on his door, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Barely remembered me, right? He's probably been through a lot. Barely remembered me. Another one right there. Same. I'm going to mention that one. This one right here, I had a feeling. And it's funny because you get a feeling when you start doing thousands and thousands of doors, you start getting a feeling that something's happening, and then you've got to follow up on that feeling. You've got to convert your feelings. And if your feelings are affection, not like you're gonna, but affection towards an individual, cultivate that relationship. Build that relationship. And my relationships are always built after it's listed and sold, but I'm doing it backwards because I clearly remember now, a time before that massive lead gen philosophy that I took on because I had to get here and I gotta hit the ground running and I gotta hurry up and sell. All this whole time, what I could have, should have, and begin to do, and could repair some, are relationships with individuals. I went to a listing presentation today that I gained a relationship with this individual 2 years ago. And he's one of those people that they look at a house every 3 or 4 months and they're thinking of selling, but now it's happening. If you're going to plan on staying in this business for a long time, I don't know what number I need to have in a database, because relationships have to be contact relationship manager. I should say contact relationship marriage. And you're marrying all of these people and you're going to know them intimately. That old lady I was talking about with the dog that ran out, she said yes, she was interested, but her dog, and we wrangled her dog and she came in. She did give me enough of a hint and enough of a blip on the radar where I could have moved on it, right? As I'm going to point out one. That one could have not really, none of that. Yes, right there on the corner. It's like I can see probably 500 G's slipping through my fingers by an inability over the last 2 years to finally realize I have enough leads. I've connected with enough people who've given me a name, number, and email address. There was one, I tell the story all the time, where my $40,000 mistake, I think I did a video, where I drove by a house and I knew that house was there. I knocked on the door. It was a Hawaiian lady and a white dude. real nice people, made a good bond relationship, and they said maybe in 2 years. And lo and behold, I kind of left them there. Last name was Beck. I knew everything. I knew, and I would drive by that once in a while, be like, oh, I wonder how the Becks are. And they must be in my database. Well, maybe they're checking maybe they're doing this. And I didn't pay attention. And all of a sudden, one time, I was like, driving by, and I went, my skid brakes don't skid. And I'm like, honey, stop the car. I go, there is a for sale sign in front of that house. And the wife goes, did you know them? I'm like, that's the Becks. And they told me about 2 years ago, maybe about a year and a half, that they were going to be selling. And they liked me. We made a relationship. Our kids kind of went to the same school. I had them in my hand. They didn't have any agent. I was their guy. All I had to do was not just throw them into a pile because I wanted more. If I would have just cultivated that. But we get this belief like we've got to hurry up and find one now because that's how we're going to get paid. When what happens, this disconnect where you do find one now, maybe it's not now, but if you find enough nows, let's say 100 maybes, maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 100 that I can control in a database. Because I went today and I opened up my database and it looks like I got 170 callbacks, but it's spread over like 350 leads that I've got, right? That I've just been kind of spitting into the future. Just, doing what I've been doing, but not as it is now. Very precise. Now it's on. So I'm doing this thing where I have to very accurately gauge the relationship and the depth of the relationship and solidity of that solidify the relationship with genuine conversation. It doesn't have to be a sales call because you've already established that first point of contact that says, I like you. Now, if you can just avoid being a salesperson, provide value every once in a while. I don't know, you got 100 leads, you do 50, 25 slams, a quarter, right? That's every quarter or every 2 or 3 months, you send them out a fully print out a package. If they're looking for a house, you hit print on some things. You hit print once in a while. You find articles on the internet. You figure out how to friend them on Facebook. You put them in a special group. There's so much you can do nowadays. And I realized that was my problem, and it was my problem before, is basically if they are a hot inside of my CRM, they are under no circumstance to be dialed anything other than my finger. Like I have to physically finger dial them because that will be the definitive. If I let a dialing mechanism do it, it disconnects. It does something, right? If they don't answer, they don't pick up, will it follow? Like you've seen that so many times with certain technology, voice over IP. So, but if you just use your cell phone, hey, this is, thank you. That's it. Leave a voice message, send them a letter, do everything else, but do it more meticulous. Be a little more intentional with your follow-up. Intentional follow-up. Intentional, focused, deliberate, committed 100% to that individual. And if you don't get a hold of them and a month goes by and you don't speak to them, and at one point you got their name, number, email address, and now a month goes by and they seem like they're going to be listening in the next 2 or 3, you need to put them on the door knock and like show up at the door. Hey, are you getting my emails? Hey, oh, I've been busy. Haha. Yeah, we're getting closer. But I'm not like leaving them behind. And I have so many off the top of my head. I can just imagine that if I put that rotation, mail, the 5 that I'm talking about now, mail, email, messenger/text, telephone, and face-to-face, and if I could rotate these over these are kind of snail mail, a mail, digital outbound mail, right? Mail, email, snail mail, text, phone, and at the door, throw them if you can get them on Facebook, if you can get them video, there's so many ways you can reach them in that core of 5 outbound communication methods, that using all of those and exhausting all of those 5 at once, but over a 1 month period, and just kind of rotate to where it gets to be, I got to get to this guy's door or this lady's door, and I've got to put a slam package. Something's going on. I know something's going on. You get to the house and all of a sudden there's like things are moved around, right? They got new landscaping. Something's going on. Why don't I know these things? Because I haven't built a relationship. I got one connection, but that one connection, if I don't make that connection within 2 or 3 days afterwards, it fades in time because people don't have that capacity to say, well, we met last week. It's almost like we met an hour ago. Remember me 2 days ago? No, you don't remember me anyhow. I'm emailing you. Bye. You know what I mean? People just, it makes sense now. I'm having this whole aha. Thank you for watching. If you guys are looking for one-on-one coaching, or if you want to understand better how to do what I'm doing so that I can get what I'm getting, and you want to get some of that, and you want to get to a point, if you have 0 leads, then you need to hire me as a one-on-one coach. You give me, you know, the coaching is $333 a month right now in the coaching platform. You give me 3 months, and we will have you at least, give me 3 months, but you have to work. That's the problem. Oh, there I go. You got to work. If you're willing to put in the work, and if you want 100 leads within 100 days, the best way is one-on-one coaching. Then I give you all access to everything and just have at it. Good luck. Talk to you soon. It's all on jamesfestine.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff.
This episode is brought to you by mojosells.com. Expireds for sell by owners and prospecting solutions along with DNC compliance. It is my CRM of choice because I can set up emails and letters and follow-up campaigns to follow up more efficiently with the leads that I generate. For sell by owners and prospecting solutions along with DNC compliance. It is my CRM of choice because I can set up emails and letters and follow-up campaigns to follow up more efficiently with the leads that I generate. Join the Festini and make sure you tell them jamesfestini.com/training. There you'll find all of my products and information. If you like to make money, get back to work.